Hello and welcome back. I'm Erica with Revival Threadworks, and in today's QMX video, we're going to be exploring quilting a quilt with Minky on the QMX. So this is what the front of the quilt looks like. It actually came out really good, and then this is the back, and it actually came out pretty awesome, I think, too. So if you're ready to get started, let's go. Okay, so this is the quilt that I'm going to be quilting today. It is an FPP pattern that I've got in my store, and I loved it so much when I did the sample that I went ahead and just added a few more just to make a baby size quilt. Now, one of the little challenges that I'm going to have is I'm going to have just this little tiny flap all the way around. And the reason why I'm going to have this flap is because I didn't do any pre-planning when I started making these blocks. I just kind of winged it, just made a bunch of blocks, and then I decided when I went to go lay it out that I would just cut them in half to fill up all these spaces. So they were already fully assembled blocks. I cut them right down the middle so they all the edges have this little thing here. So I think it's going to be very important that I actually baste this quilt, which I try not to baste if I don't have to, but I think with this one I'm definitely going to baste, and I am going to go ahead and baste it on my sewing machine because I think it'll just end up being a whole lot easier. Now, prior to turning on the camera, I did go ahead and get everything spray basted. So this is the Minky that I'm using, and Minky has two different sides. So there's, well, at least this particular Minky does. It has the ultra fuzzy side. If you look, the texture is just a little bit more pronounced than on, actually, I just messed that up. It's a little softer on this side, a little bit more pronounced on this side. So I chose the softest side to actually be the back. And then I used my spray based, sprayed and attached the 100% cotton liner, and then spray basted it again and put my quilt on it. So if you can tell, my table is a 4-foot by 8-foot table, so this quilt isn't really that big. I think it measures at about 36.5 by 60.5, so not even a traditional quilt or baby quilt size, but I'm just going to go ahead and quilt it all up because I really want to. I really, really like this one. So I've got enough on each side. Unlike my rocket quilt, I've got plenty of excess on all the different sides, and it's even enough to where I'm not really going to worry about it. So like I said, the very first thing that I'm going to do is baste the whole thing on my regular sewing machine. Then I'm going to load it onto my take-up bar, and we're going to take it over to the machine and see how this stitches. Now, the concern that I have, that I think most people probably have, is that Minky has a lot of stretch, okay? So Minky, let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about. If you see here, this is the kind of stretch that I'm talking about. So I think that one of the concerns that I have with quilting on this is the stretch that it has, as well as the thickness. Now I have the rocket quilt that I just did had that real thick polyester batting in it. So as far as the thickness is concerned, I don't know that I'm as concerned about that anymore, just because the QMX handled it super, super well, having that real thick batting. But my concern is going to be the stretch. So I'm hoping that I spray basted this well enough to where things are going to stay in place. And then of course, when I go and I baste it with my machine, I think that's also going to stabilize the Minky on the back. So really quick, I wanted to show you what it looks like after basting, and I think that basting it on the sewing machine was a really good idea. What looks like creases here or something is actually the pattern itself. If you look, it's in like a triangle pattern, and that's just because that's what the front of the quilt looks like. Anyway, basting it at the machine, I think, is going to be one of the key steps to quilting on this Minky, because like I said, having it this way, whenever I put it on the bar, like when I put it on the take-up bar, if it stretches this way or stretches this way or anything like that, what is inside this basting box is going to stay where it needs to stay, not only from the spray base, but because of the stitch base. So I think that was definitely a good move. Now we're going to load it onto the take-up bar. All right, so here's my quilt loaded onto my homemade take-up rail. It's loaded, the leader cloth is attached to the take-up rail, and then of course the quilt is attached to the leader cloth. So there is a line that I've got over here to where I know, how to put it on evenly. I did take my ruler and just trim all the way down just to make sure that when I'm loading it on there, it's as even as it can be. I know there's some variation, but as long as I put my starting points and ending points where they need to be, then I know that I'm good to go. So this is it all loaded onto the leader cloth and the take-up rail. Now the next thing I've got to do is put my markings on this quilt, and then we'll be ready to start quilting it. Now I have struggled a little bit with trying to figure out what pantograph I want to have on this. I don't want to do blocks. I definitely want to do a pantograph. And because this quilt is a little bit detailed, I've been so confused as to what kind of pantograph to use. But I think that I may have narrowed down one that I think won't compete too much with this design. So what we're going to do next is go to the go to the QMX, look and see what the sizes are so that I can do some math so we can figure out how many pantos across I can get and where I need to put all my markings. Okay, so this is the design that I've chosen to use. It's called Josephine, and it is by Grace Company. It is an end-to-end or continuous design. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and traced my frame space here to get the maximum amount of repeats that I can get on the 5-inch, because I'm going to start with the 5-inch. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats. And the numbers that I'm going to pay attention to are this one right here, which is the total width. And then I'm also going to be paying attention to where my start point needs to be so that when I line up that very first row, I know exactly where I need to put it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot here with, I've got my phone camera right behind the actual camera. And then we're just going to go up 1/4 inch and just kind of photograph all of these different measurements and just kind of see which ones, when we get to the computer and when I get to, start figuring out my math, I'm going to figure out which one of these panto heights is going to give me this design that I need when I get to quilting. So I'm sorry, I was trying to talk and take photographs at the same time. Anyway, this is the information that I need to do my panto math, because I want to try to stay as close to the edges as I possibly can. I'm not worried about it going over just a little bit. However, if I can prevent it going too far over, I want to do that. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and do some of this panto math. Okay, so real quick, we're going to go over the math. This is the information that I found last segment with the screen, the heights of the panto, the total width, number of repeats, and it gives me these numbers over here. And I'm trying to find the closest number to a whole number, which technically is this one, which is the 4.89. It's just a tiny bit closer to a whole number than this one. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the 5-inch panto height. And the reason why I want to do that is because the total height of my quilt is 60 inches, and 5 inches divides perfectly into 60 inches and gives me 12 rows. So I am going to go ahead and choose that 5-inch panto. So I realize at this point you might all be getting really tired of seeing all the measurements and all that stuff, but I do stress the measurements because I do think that they're important. They really help us to know exactly where we're going, exactly where things are going to line up when we're all done. So I do think that it is worth taking the extra 5 or 10 minutes to get your markings put on your quilt so that when you get to the machine, you literally just set your points and go. So if you'll recall, the panto starts 0.65 inches down from the top. So this first row is the one that is the most important to set up. So what I've done is I've put my sticker down here at the 5/8 of an inch mark down. So, and I'm also, all of the markings that I'm doing are from here. So not all the way up to the edge of that. It's just kind of where the rest of the fabric is ending up. So I'm making that my top point, and the same thing on the sides here. I'm doing my measurements from these seams as my anchor point. So I've put my first sticker 0.65 inches down. I measured over 28 inches so that I could get my next point. It's also 0.65 inches down. Now I did have about 1.5 inches extra on each, or excuse me, 1.5 inches extra that would be just blank space. So what I did is I just kind of divided it in half. So I'm starting just a little bit over there, and then there'll be just a little bit of area right over here that doesn't have a bit of panto, but I think it's going to work out just fine, especially once the binding gets put on and everything. But that's how I handled, you know, setting up for that panto. And then I just, because my panto is 5 inches, I just marked all of my subsequent points 5 inches down from that first one. So 5 inches from center to center, center to center. And also just to show you how I make my markings and how I'm trying to make sure that my markings stay as even as they possibly can is, so what I've been doing is let's just say this is my mark here, and I've got to go 5 inches down. So I'm finding a center point here on that seam. So I'm 1/2 inch over, and then I'm making sure that my sticker is lining up right there at that 10-inch mark. And then all the way down, I make sure that I'm 1/2 inch from that seam, and then all of my markings should line up at the 5 inch, the 0, whatever. And then when I get over here, I'm doing something quite similar. I'm just finding an anchor point on this seam so that when I'm making my markings all the way down, I know that they are as even as I can possibly make them. I know that my quilt is not 100% square, but it was the best that I could do. So anyhow, now that the quilt is loaded onto the takeout bar, all of my markings are made all the way down to the bottom here. I'm going to go ahead and load it on the quilt, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so I've got my quilt all loaded. I've got my points set, and I'm actually ready to go. So I'll show you on the screen what it looks like. Oops, let's see if I can get this camera. Oops, sorry. Okay, so this is what the screen looks like. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats like we already discussed. My start point's way up here. So it's definitely not a center line that we have to find here. But I do want to point one thing out. So this is something that I noticed because my table is a little bit leaning this way. I've got some legs coming that are going to prop it up a little bit. But when I hit move to start, I want you to watch the needle. So my start point is actually up here. My needle is resting down here. So when I hit move to start, I want you to watch what's happening. It hits it and then it falls right back down. I was very concerned about that before because I was thinking, okay, well, I need to just kind of hold it in place. So I was holding it in place, and that was also one time when my stars messed up on my other quilt. So here's one thing that I've discovered. So if your set point is here and you set it, and then your needle moves a little bit before you actually get started, I'm going to go ahead and take this sticker off, but let me show you what actually happens when you start it. So when we hit next, it goes back to that position, and then it, you know, kind of falls back down. So when I hit start sew countdown, I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens with that. It's going to move back into place while it waits for the countdown. So hopefully I can do this. Oh, you know what? Let me get my presser foot down here. But do you see how it actually moved to the right place that it needed to be before it started sewing? That's what I wanted to point out to you, is that if you set your start point and it moves a little bit, don't fear, because it looks like it does go ahead and go back where it needs to go. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run, and then we're going to come back when it's all done and see how this first panto sewed out. Okay, so the first panto is run, and I gotta say, I was really worried that this panto was going to be way too much because of all the stuff going on in the pattern, but my gut just told me that this was the one, and I think my gut was right. I think this is going to be so pretty. Anyway, it ran beautifully. No blips, nothing. It seemed to go over that Minky fabric just fine. So once I'm done with this first row, I'm going to pick up my rail, move it down a little bit so that I can do this last little panto here on the first row. And I might take it off either this time or next time and just take a look at the back and see what's happening on the back. Make sure I did kind of put my hand underneath there to make sure it feels good, and it feels like it's just fine. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be good. But I will come back and check back with you once I do flip it over and take it off so that we can look at the back together. But for now, I'm just going to keep running a few more pantos, and then we'll check back in a few minutes. Okay, so now that I'm placing my last placement here for this single repeat of the design, I did want to point out an error that I made, and that was I should have put a sticker over here at the end, because then it lets me know where the plane is, like where I need to set the stop point. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I didn't put the stickers on the stop point. So absolutely, after I finish this top row, I'm going to be taking it off and placing some more stickers. So I will check in with the back on that, but I did want to point out that I made an error, and I just didn't mark for the end point. So don't do that. Don't do what I did. Okay, so since this video is about quilting on Minky, and I needed to take it off the frame anyway, I just thought that I would show you how well this first row actually did quilt on here. It quilted perfectly, beautifully, exactly what I would want it to look like. I was very unsure of what the Minky was going to do in the machine, but again, I basted it on my sewing machine before I took it to the QMX, and there's no bunching, no nothing. I mean, it looks exactly like I would expect even regular cotton to. So far so good. I'll just keep sewing and we'll check back in a little bit. Okay, so I wanted to show really quick how fast and easy it is to move on to the next row with using this take-up rail. So all I'm doing right now is just getting my magnets off. And I've discovered that if I roll it from the center, it seems to roll just a little bit more evenly. I can use the little handle down there, but this I found is just a little bit better for me. So all I'm doing is just rolling it up, advancing it on the pole here. And then I'm going to move it down just a bit because I need to go, so I need to be sewing down here. So all I'm going to do is pull it down until I see my needle and my fabric lining up. And now I'm going to take my magnets and reattach the quilt to the frame. So the take-up bar is not, all it does is get your quilt out of the way. You still have to attach your quilt to the bar. I just use magnets. I find it to be super, super simple to use the magnets. And then I just pull it down here to make it nice and taut. And then a couple of magnets to hold it down here. A couple of magnets to secure it over here. And I'm ready to reposition and sew the next row. Okay, so the quilting is now done on this, and I think it came out really, really nice. If you look down here at the bottom, it actually meets right up where it needs to. The sides are nice and even, and just I think this panto was really the perfect choice for this. And if you look at the back looks just as nice as the front. Nice and soft. I didn't have any extra stretching or anything that I was worried about. I think that basting box really was the key here. Anyhow, the next thing I'm going to do is get it all trimmed up and squared up so that I can put the binding on. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you were as pleasantly surprised at how well the Minky sewed up on the QMX as I was. I was very impressed with how well it sewed. There were no blips, no nothing. It just was beautifully, it worked beautifully. It worked just like it would have if there were cotton, like plain quilting cotton on the back. I was so impressed. It just came out looking so good. If you haven't really seen it much before, just look at that. Isn't that amazing? I think it's just amazing. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. All those things really help my channel to grow. I hope that you guys have a really wonderful weekend, and I will see you again on Tuesday, which actually happens to be my 31st wedding anniversary. Kevin and I are going to be out of town, but I'm going to go ahead and film a little something so I can get it posted for you guys on Tuesday. Anyhow, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.